I just came from spending 6 hours or 7 hours, or how many hours, teaching this incredible 2 weeks. It's called the ISP, but we now call it the 2-week intensive. Is that what it's called? I don't even know what it's called. 2-week intensive, but it's really a fabulous program. It's with these international and national people, and they're still here. So say hello to them.
I go across that outside.
You know, it's a really hard program. It's every day for 2 weeks, and you have all sorts of crazy acting coaches. Yeah, they come from all over. You know, they have people from Australia here, from Italy, from Colombia. Is it Colombia? Colombia. All sitting back there eating popcorn. Italiano. You know, they're just all different. Australia, New Zealand. Oh, South Korea. South Korea. All over the world. You know. So it's a trip. And we have the United States. So where are we today? What month are we in?
May.
So the next one's going to be August. So if you know anybody that wants to take it, it's a fantastic program. But today we're here for some other reasons now. Oh, so beautiful. I'm like, I can't believe this. It's so crazy.
Margie was one of my first teachers, as far as especially audition technique. I was at the Margie Haber studio on La Cienega.
Here's the irony. We're talking. I said to her, you know, there's a lot of traffic on Friday, so you need to come early. I said, I know, there's so much traffic. I said, yeah. You know where it is Margie. I studied there. I said, no, you didn't. She thought she was going to the La Cienega. Could you imagine? Which is where it used to be.
Yeah. I'm like, this is amazing.
And yeah, it was a good idea that we.
I'm glad you told me. I would have been all the way over there. I would have FaceTimed in.
So yeah. I think it was when was it? 12 years ago? We try to remember these years. I can't remember. They're all the same to me.
Yeah, more. I think
More than
about
that.
like 14 years ago.
Okay, so 14 years. You have to understand, 14 years ago, she comes to my house. She's wearing this afro.
I used to have this big afro.
Big afro,
Yeah.
right? And she comes in, look, the sweetest, cutest little thing you ever want to meet. And and it was just that had you done anything before you met me? You're like just brand new.
No, I just looked up like top acting teachers, and I learned that you had coached Halle Berry, and so I was like,
That was it for you, baby.
I mean, I gotta go to the best, you know? And then I came in and just started learning, and then you coached me, on Pitch Perfect.
Oh, that's right, it was.
That was
Pitch
the big-
Perfect is what
that
you
was the
were,
first
that's when you
big
started
thing.
to.
Yeah, and then I auditioned for Nashville. This is like, I've been doing this, I feel like I've been doing it forever, but I know there's people who've been doing it longer than I have, but I think about some of the projects that I was auditioning for ages ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this for so long! Like projects that
Well, you were, when I met you, you were really into music, you say. She was a musician. Right? Guitar sang.
Yeah, I still do.
Yeah, but that was your main, was that not your main career? Was it?
That's kind of what took off first. So I was always singing and acting at the same time. My way in was through commercials. That's how I got my SAG card, was doing commercials. And then moved to LA. I grew up in Cameroon.
Cameroon. Trying to figure out where that is. Where is that exactly?
West Africa. So I was born and raised there until I was 13. Moved to America. My mom is from Sacramento, so moved to Sac. That's where I have this amazing accent from.
I just came back there. I was there for the weekend.
No way.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Why?
Actually, they built it up a lot.
No, it's changed.
I have friends there. We went to Lake Tahoe from there.
My sister's so shy. She knows she just gets right into it.
This is a dialogue.
They have their own
Let's have a
private conversation.
No, I love it.
All right, so
Yeah,
you're in Sacramento,
yeah,
which my sister loves, and
Yes.
and then what happened?
Doing indie films, commercials. I would commute to San Francisco, which was about a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
I would drive there, do an audition, and then drive back. And I loved it, and I knew this is what I wanted to do.
I just remember you going, we were downstairs in that area that Joan, you are staying in right now, and that's where you were, doing I would do this. I remember just using this chair and sitting with you and doing an audition with you, and I know, it was just, I said, this girl's going to make it, because and I'll tell you what it was about you, Andy, I thought that was important. It was that you just had a love of life.
Yeah.
And you know, when you have a love of life, you don't really need anything in the beginning. Because in 1804, when I started acting, everybody's laughing at that, not that far off. I was up for the Daughter of Maud, all right, which you probably don't even know about, some of you do, but Adrienne Barbeau was in Maud, it was Norman Lear stuff. And I'm telling you, I literally knew nothing, but I had this freedom, this, I love it, and excitement and openness, and I was screen test for it. And believe me, I was so glad I didn't get it. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's like, I
Yeah.
think part of that is what you brought to it.
Yeah.
You think so?
Definitely. I feel like the more that I've lived or like made my life outside of acting
Yes.
fuller, my acting has gotten so much better.
Yeah.
And-
Thank you for saying that, because this
Yeah.
is what I talk about all the time. You know, actors are always about, there's a kind of a happy medium, don't you think, between I want to focus on my career and I'm going to give it all. And then at the same time, I'm not going to stop living my life and enjoying it. You know, I think this, and how did you, were you able to do both of them? I mean, how do you marry the two? Because you have to be focused, right?
Yeah.
So how do you marry the two?
I mean, I think as actors, we're professional humans. Like, that's our gift, is we know how to connect to being human and have the empathy and be able to immediately relate to someone and live their life, even if we haven't, but it comes from a place of empathy. And so I think for me, I'm so ambitious. I always have like the craziest goals and sometimes too much, like I need to relax.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, it's been having these big goals. Like obviously the big goal was I want to be a series regular. That was the goal, and that is the goal of many actors of like, let me get on a series regular on a show, or I want to be a lead on a show. And I think the gift I got was, you know, when it took a long time. Like I was doing auditioning for 10 years before I booked Upload, and that was my series regular show.
Yeah, right.
I was the lead of the show.
Right.
It's finished now. We finished the last season last year. We shot it last year. It comes out in August.
Yeah, it's not there.
But thank you. But bittersweet, you know. But that was like my big role and a taste of what it's like to be a lead,
Yeah.
to be on a show that goes, you know, for several seasons.
Yeah.
But because it took so long, I think I had to find something else that really fed me, because I kept getting so many no's. I would get so close, and it was like so devastating every time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it does still sting, you know, it's gotten much easier, it does get easier. But I think it would always be me and one other person, me and this, or like, you're in like the top 5, you're in the mix, you're this, you're here, you know, all these things. And then finally I was like, oh, okay, this is mine. And I feel like I'm gonna say such cliche stuff, but it's like, when it's yours, it's really yours. And if it's not, you're not gonna get it. And so that gave me such trust in like, the role that's gonna be mine, I'm gonna get that thing.
Yeah, it's meant for you.
It's meant for me. I'm still gonna prep, I'm still gonna show up do the work, and live that life, but I also trust that if I didn't get it, okay, I'm being saved from something, and most times I have been, like when the projects come out that I didn't get, I was like, whew, okay, I'm glad I didn't get that, you know, but there's some that really suck, that, you know, you're like, man, I wish I had gotten that. But I will say, so 2 things. For Upload, my audition.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you, of course, about the
Okay.
But you know, can I just ask you before that?
Yeah.
Because I want to kind of get to know you a little bit, get people to know you before we get to the Upload.
Yeah.
So you started out as a musician, right? And how did you? And the big thing that people don't know about is that you were in a band with a guy named Prince, right?
Yes.
How did that happen? How did you get in? How did that even occur?
Well, do people know who Prince is anymore?
Come along. I mean, does anyone know who Prince is? Probably. Does anyone know who the Beatles are? Yes.
Just kidding, I'm kidding. Well, so I started off playing guitar, singing. I released my first album in 2009. And I then worked with this channel called the African Channel, and they were featuring African artists, and they asked me if I would do an episode where they would feature my new album, and so I did that. That was 2010, I think around 2010, after the album came out, and a year later I get a call from them asking if I would like to come in to the forum where Prince was doing his 21 days in the forum. And I was like, okay, cool. They're like, yeah, we're working with Prince now. Obviously, we love you. We think you're great. And maybe we can introduce you guys. You know, we want to, maybe there's a collaboration here because we're fans of both of you. And I just kind of like, sure, okay, whatever. Yeah, I'll be there. And they did. Like, I went to the concert. I actually got pulled on stage. And so that's when I first met him, and then afterwards they invited me to the after party. And so that's when I met him. He listened to my album. And I think, like my mom says, like luck is when opportunity meets preparedness.
Oh, say that again. I want to hear it again.
Luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. And
opportunity meets
yeah.
preparedness.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So like that was one of those. So you might be like, wow, you're so lucky. But I think like I had been doing open mics. I recorded this album and financed it on my own. I had been honing my craft. So when this legend was like, come to this after party, do you want to sing on stage?
Ooh, wow. Yes.
And I was like, yeah.
So you did
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm singing in front of Prince, or anything like that didn't happen to you?
I think
was there doubt at all?
I think there's always doubt, you know, of like, but I mean, I was also 21.
I'm saying, like when I auditioned for that.
I think too, like, when I think back on it now, and I'm in my 30s now, so I feel like...
You're in your 30s? You're so young? I waited a whole lifetime, 10 years, you're still so young.
It's like, wow, I think there's a certain, like, I don't give a shit at that age, kind of, when you're just like, whatever, I can do it. And like now I feel like I'd probably be like, what? You want me to do what?
It's very different.
There's a different, I don't know, naivete, I guess.
Say fuck it.
Yeah,
I
didn't really know.
Yeah.
And I also,
innocence is bliss.
Yeah, and I didn't really know who Prince was. Like I knew of him.
Yeah. You know,
but like I grew up in Africa. Like he wasn't really big in Cameroon.
Yeah.
It was more Michael Jackson, which if he was alive, he'd hate that I'd say that. Like because they had a beef. But you know, I grew up listening to Michael. Like that was
exactly.
That's who I knew, and I would
so
have just died if he had like you know. But I was like, oh Prince, like I know of you. I know what music you've done. I know what your contribution to art is as a singer artist. I knew that, but I think that really saved me or helped me to show up more authentically because I wasn't fangirling. I was kind of like, I respect you, and at that time I had this naive confidence where I was like, yeah, I'm the shit, even though I hadn't done really anything, you know, like I just was like, yeah, whatever, I belong here, you know?
So so when you were with him and then you got to know him, I mean, obviously later on you started to realize that he's a legend, right?
Yeah.
But what was it about him? What did he teach you? What did he help you become? And
oh my gosh.
I mean, some of the things, you know.
Yeah. I think to reach that level of success, there's a certain dedication to the craft. Mm-hmm. He was constantly writing. It never ended. And there was such a respect for what he did. There were a number of things that he shared with me that I carry with me, which was really having a vision for yourself, because other people will tell you what your vision is, and it's easy to latch onto that, especially when you're hungry and you want the thing, and people will be more than happy, especially in this industry, to tell you who you are, but like having a true sense of like, I have a North Star, I know who I am, and so you're not easily swayed by outside influences or people, and really staying true to your vision of yourself. Especially when it comes to being actors and people are like, oh, well, your type is this, and you're like, man, I really am like, okay, is it? But I feel like I can play different things, you know?
Right. Okay.
you know, yeah, there we go, there it goes.
And Susan will help you out.
Thank you, Susan, you're the best. And so that was one thing. The other was always showing up as your best, and that was something that stuck with me. I relied earlier on in my career on like the natural talent I'd been given. I'd been given this gift of knowing how to just believe these imaginary circumstances and just kind of tap into it. But it wasn't quite enough. I really needed to hone my craft. And so when I approached it with that kind of level of respect and saying like, okay, I want to be great at this. I really want to be the best at it. How can I do that? Okay, I can get into a class. I can go and train.
But he was your, he was your mentor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you looked at him and learned from him
Yeah.
and looked up to him, right? And how many years was that?
I joined the band in 2011. I was there for 2 years. We worked on my second album together. And then, I left the band in 2013. So,
And when did he
2 years.
pass?
2016.
So, why I'm making a big deal out of this is because there are people that come into your lives
Yeah.
that, if you really give yourself permission, can help you and guide you to become your lifeline. There are a lot of people, and he was your lifeline. And having a lifeline, you have to recognize it and say, this is a person who's going to bring me to another place in my life that I wasn't even aware of. But you have to be open to it, and you were open to his teachings, you're open to who he was.
Yeah.
And I think that gave you a foundation to, that's my point, to get to the next level. Because acting and music are very similar. My son's a wannabe musician. There's wannabe actors, and you're in this place of I want to be, and I don't know how to do it, and I'm struggling. But if you can really believe in yourself and believe in that you have it, and then be guided by what I think of myself as a mentor, the mentors in your life, then I think you have a chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
And no path is linear. I think
That's right.
that's the thing. Is like sometimes you think the path to being like a great actor, or let me get that role, is through this way, or how someone else got there.
Yes.
But your path might look so different. I think I had an idea of like, I was a musician, but I loved acting. I always wanted to act.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think initially commercials were the way in, but that's how I got in. That's how I got, the SAG card.
So you got a commercial agent first?
Yeah, that's how.
Who's the agent?
I was with CESD, still am.
What?
CESD, here in LA. But I
Yeah.
had an agent in Sacramento, and then I had one in San Francisco, and then I got one in LA.
So yes, but this is so you found that's how you're guided through. We have a great commercial class that is a wonderful student and wonderful actress and that teaches for us, and I'm always amazed with her when I watch her that she doesn't teach commercials and hi, I'm selling 40409. It's about living small pieces of life.
Yeah.
And once you understand that a commercial isn't that different than a TV show or a film, you start to realize, well, I'm going to use me and enjoy the experience of bringing myself into it. Did you find that?
Yeah. Commercials are so fun. I think also it's low stakes in the sense of that it's very short periods of time. So you get to live that life, but like that, rather than over a month or years. And it's just, I don't know, they're just fun.
Yeah.
It's just really light, fun stuff,
Yeah,
But there's some commercials that have so much heart, and I think that's what's so fun about them.
It's a short piece of life.
Yeah.
So you went in the commercials, then you, what was the first thing you remember you auditioned for?
The first thing I auditioned for was the show called The Game. And it was like a football show. It had just gone to left the CW, it had just gone to BET. And it was my first audition, and I ended up booking it.
Oh, you booked your first one?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was a recurring. It was recurring.
Wow.
I know. It was wild. I couldn't believe it.
Is that before I met you?
Yeah. This was 2011.
And I met you when? 2013?
2013. Yeah, so gosh, years, sorry, I might have said 14. Yeah,
That's all right.
it's been like.
So you did this, and how did you feel to do it the first time? Were you like nervous?
This was when
excited?
auditions were still in person. So,
Oh, yeah, those days.
yeah, it was nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
you know, to like, I mean, I love a self-tape now. I'm obsessed.
Oh, well,
I know
okay,
some
wait,
people
let's-
like really.
Yeah, I'd like
but-
to talk a little bit of that as
Yeah,
well.
I get
Yeah.
so nervous in person, and because it's
Yeah.
like you have limited takes. But there's
Yeah.
also something about that because you're like, this is it. The adrenaline's rushing, and you're like, I gotta get it right. You don't have like an hour to massage it and do 14, 20 takes of a scene. And you're like, which one do I like? You know, it's like, this is it. You did two.
There's pros and cons
Yeah.
to both, right?
Yeah.
And I think people are always going, oh, I want to be in person, I want to be in person. Even I tell people in classes
Yeah.
that they should do both Zoom, like for me, I have Zoom classes and in person because you got to learn how to use the world of Zoom. It's not, and you got to learn how to learn the world of self-tape, which is a whole different world.
Yeah.
So we'll go to that then instead of where I was thinking of going, let's go to the world of self-tape. Why do you like it? And what is it, and how do you use it as a benefit?
I think I like the low pressure, like I'm much more relaxed.
Mhm.
So I still have a time limit because I will go to a self-tape studio and some people.
There's a self-tape studio at the Margie Haber studio.
Is there? Well, all right then.
There you go.
I'd have to
In the
come
future.
by. But I think it's having like I like going to work, and it mimics going to an audition
Mm.
for me.
Mhm.
And I have friends who are so great at doing it at home,
Mhm.
and that for me it's just never worked. I get in my
Okay.
head,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about lights, I'm thinking about whatever, you know.
Oh,
And so I like going somewhere, I can show up, I have a finite amount of time, so it forces me, it mimics the audition room,
yeah.
but it's a little bit more relaxed,
Yeah.
where I can just kind of be
Mhm.
in the space.
And you have an option to do more than one, which you can't do in person.
Right.
But you know, it's interesting to me, I was working with somebody
Hmm.
who, she's a friend of mine. And she doesn't get auditions a lot because she's really actually, this is not her profession, she's an opera singer. But she was so busy, put the light, can you go over here, and she's Zooming with me. Everything was technical. She was worried about her lights, she was worried about the way she looked, she worried about, can you lower that? I said, there is no time for her to create. It's so,
Yeah.
it's not your job to be involved. There are a lot
Right.
of people that book with bad lighting. It's not, not that lighting shouldn't be good, but the focus needs to be on creativity,
Yeah.
not on the technical aspects of it. I also teach something I'm very, we have a product that we put out that Hamish can give discounts for, products that we give. And the product, come on in, whoever you are. Come on, it's okay. The product is on self-tape. And one of the things that was interesting for me is we talk about the director, we talk to a director, and this director loves when people do self-tapes, but she doesn't want a tight shot. She said, how am I going to know what you are? How am I going to know what you look like? How am I going to know if you're in your body?
Mhm.
So I just feel like it's gotten too crazy with this tight shot thing. It makes me crazy.
Yeah.
I cannot stand tight shots. You want to eventually get into it. You want to get into the closeness that can see you, but more because it's an intimate moment. So my point now that I'm addressing is that, if you're doing a comedy or something, you're doing all
Yeah.
things here, but you can use behavior. I think it's really important to remind yourself that when you're self-taping, your body's involved and you have behavior, and that you move towards the close-up, not do everything in close-up. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean,
Better.
this is our instrument, right? Like we use everything. We're like professional humans. Like
Yeah.
so, as a human, I use everything in me.
Yeah.
To convey something, and be thinking about even just how you are, when you're having a conversation, when you're, in it, like you're not stiff, right?
That's right.
But I think, obviously, on camera, there's these technicalities of like, well, you don't want to be like, it's not theater, you can't be like crazy.
Right.
But to your point, if you're framed, here, and just that little lean forward
Yeah, that changes everything for you.
can be just enough, a step forward, and just can convey like, okay, we've changed the tone, we've changed something.
So just
Yeah.
in my language of it, just so you see, everything, and you heard this from, today, everything you do comes from a reason. And if you don't have to worry about conveying something, or you're leaning in because there's something happening, you're coming forward because it's an intimate moment. And so therefore it makes sense for me to be here, not because you want the camera to catch you.
Right.
You stop worrying about you have to be caught by the camera. Have a reason to come closer, because then you are living a life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people are so taught so technically, and I think it really harms them. Okay, so back to my first thing. So now you get that,
Yeah.
and then okay. So who told you to come to me?
I was searching.
Oh, you
Just
searched the thing. You
yeah.
searched.
Yeah.
Crazy Margie
Yeah.
Haber, heard
Yep.
about it. Oh, Halle
Yeah.
Berry, got now.
Yeah.
So you come into my house. Did I offer you chicken or I usually offer food when people come. I'm a mother.
I think it was like vegetables and like a
Something.
dip or
I always give you something.
Yeah.
So you did this and you worked with me. And what clicked for you with me? What clicked with you for me?
I think the change in language, right? Of like, I'm a character, I'm this, or whatever. It was more when you talked about like a slice of life.
I just said that 12 years ago. I
You
told
did. Yeah.
I thought it was all
Yeah.
new, Hamish. I really did. I just, people
You've just
study.
been refining it
Yeah.
over the years,
You know,
but like that's
When people study with me from years ago, I'm like embarrassed. Like Kyle Chandler or people like I haven't seen in a long time, even Halle Berry, or these people that I haven't seen in a long time. I go, hi. I'm embarrassed because I don't think I gave them anything. And then I hear, oh no, you taught slice of life. I said, really? It's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
So even then I was into human stuff.
Yes.
Back to here.
Well, that was what was so different, of like even testing out different acting teachers and like Googling and going and auditing different places. But like even when I trained after coming to your studio, that's always stuck with me because it's a more human approach, or like and a softer way in than thinking about the technicalities. Sometimes I think I so get in my head with the work and wanting to be perfect. But like that's we're not perfect.
No, it doesn't work that way.
We're never perfect.
And people stay at the end of a movie, the outtakes, because of one reason, because it's fascinating, because they're breaking, and they're real humans. All right, so you studied with me, we fell in love. I did, I loved her. There's just what I loved about you was you were so open, and we just played and giggled a lot. That's all I remember, giggling and playing a lot. All right, so get Pitch Perfect.
I didn't get Pitch Perfect.
You did not get Pitch Perfect, like I said.
Okay, so that's interesting though. So going back to like the opportunity meets preparedness, but also when it's meant for you, it's yours. I auditioned for Pitch Perfect 2, and I was like, this is it. This is it, right? We've all had that moment. This is my role. This is gonna break me. It's gonna be great. And it was between me and one other actress. And the role was, spoiler, I didn't get the role, right? But the actress who did get it, she's amazing. And that was her role, it was meant for her. But the role wasn't written for an actress, the character had an accent. And I went in with my Cameroonian accent. And I made it my own, and we played with that because you're like, tell the story.
I remember this
We would
now.
like improv this whole thing because the audition, the callback was you had to improv a whole story, And I was like, well, it wasn't written for a Cameroonian, but that's what I have.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fake an accent I don't have when I have this one that's so authentic.
Oh, do
to
say
me.
it. Let's hear it.
What am I saying? Okay, ask me something.
Tell me, you love me so much and you miss me so much.
I'm always asking for things. I don't want to ask you why. Just wait. So.
What was that?
But that's how when I grew up in Cameroon, that's how I talked. So when I moved to Sacramento, I learned how to speak like an American.
Oh, I love
But
that accent.
I don't actually, when I can switch now because that's the way I
Sound Jewish right now. That's because I'm the way I am.
But it's like able to integrate like this is my story. You
Yeah.
know, I grew up in Cameroon, but I also grew up here. I can't negate it.
Right. It's part of you.
It's part of me.
Mhm.
So I get to play now and
Yeah.
play with my Cameroon accent, let it come out. I last year I think I did this whole series of Shakespeare monologues, but in my Cameroon accent. It was so much fun, and it actually brought so much life to it.
Did you say out damn spot? How did I say this? This is a dialogue which I see before me.
Right. I was like, and I'm not gonna remember anything, but it was like, to be or not to be. That is the question. It adds so much light, you know, but it's like
Love it.
that was the
great.
first 13 years of my life.
Yeah, it's a part of you, and it's
Yeah.
also a beautiful part of you because it brings up the joy and the
Yeah.
warmth and the deliciousness of your life and
Yeah.
the freedom. You know, some
I
great
thought
stuff.
I had them cackling in that audition. They were rolling, laughing. I was like,
I know.
I booked it.
I booked it.
I walked out of there. I was like, it's mine. I was like, celebrate. And I didn't get it. I was so bummed. I was so crushed.
Mm.
And that movie comes out. You know, it did great. And 2 years later, I get a call. The director of Pitch Perfect 3 wants to talk to you. I was like, okay, hop on a Zoom. There's this role of a rock star, and it's one of the rival bands. We'd love for you to play her.
Mm.
I did an audition. It was an offer only, like a straight offer. And when I went to set, Elizabeth Banks and Max Handelman,
Ooh, nice.
they both at different times came up to me and they were like, we loved you so much from that audition. We wish we could have made it work. It just wasn't written for an African. And we would have had to rewrite the whole thing.
Yeah. So there you go.
And,
There you go.
but we loved you so much.
Mm.
You've been in our minds for the last 2 years.
Wow.
And when this next movie came in, we knew it was yours.
Yeah.
We've been writing this for you.
Gives me chills.
Yeah.
Now you see, this is what I talk
Yeah.
about. I go, you know, you don't go out to book a role.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's sad when, there's another studio, I'm not mentioning, I don't remember the name, thank God, otherwise I would mention it. It's so harmful, it's so harmful. And this studio, if you don't book, they don't want you to be there. They're like, you know, if you're not gonna book, you shouldn't be in my class. I literally know this for a fact. If you can't book, you don't belong in my class. And I'm thinking, this is exactly the opposite of
Yeah.
what we do at my studio.
Yeah.
It's not booking, you're not gonna book it because you're black.
Yeah.
Or you're too white, or you're too old, or too young, or you're too thin or too fat. Who knows the reasons why? You cannot control any of it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's not just an Al-Anon AA, slogan. It's an actor's slogan, because you can't control anything. So when you do the best you can, and you do it, and you have fun, and you
Yeah.
let it go, they remember you for what they think is right for you.
Yeah.
And you're not auditioning for that job. You're just getting them to let them know you, and you know them, and that's it for you. And then
Yeah.
you move on.
Yeah.
It's hard, but you gotta live that life that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so now cutting to that. So now let's cut to. All right. So now you have gone through different things through the years and books this here and there, and now you get an audition for Upload.
Yes.
I want to hear about that.
Okay, so went in for Upload, and I mean, I got a call back. Obviously, I'll skip over it's the same trajectory of audition, callback. And then I went into the chemistry read. We had a chemistry read with the co-star, the male lead.
What is a chemistry read for people who may not know?
Chemistry read is when two actors that they are envisioning as a romantic connection. Sometimes they don't, and it doesn't have to be. It can just be the two leads of something, or important characters that have an interaction. You come together, and they see if you have chemistry. You run the scenes, the slices of life.
Whoa, got through that one.
And they watch you, go through it and see, okay, does this person have chemistry? How do they interact? Sometimes there's improv and different things like that. So Robbie and I went through a few scenes, and then we had some improv as well. And the moment I thought I had totally messed up this audition was one of them. I had a monologue where I was convincing him of something, which this is the same monologue at the end of episode 1
I know
in the
about
pilot.
this.
I'm convincing him, and he's asking me for my name, and I'm not supposed to give him my name.
That's right.
And finally, I give in, and I tell him my name. And my name on the show is Nora Anthony. I could not remember my name. I couldn't remember my name.
Hard for me to remember my name too. Sorry.
I paused, and you know those long pauses where you're like, what's my line? What is that line again? I can't. I was able to get Nora out. I could not remember my last name after, to save my life. I came up with a last name. I don't even know what name. I think I said Johnson or something. It just was some random last name. And then they were like, cool, let's take a break. And I stepped out of that room and I was like, yeah, I didn't book it. Why would you book a role, give the role to someone who can't even remember the name? And this was in front of the showrunner, the creator, the executive producer was also there, casting. Robbie was there. And Greg, who's the showrunner and creator, took me to another room. He's like, let's try it one more. And, gave me some other notes or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'm looking at, I was off book at that point. So when I went back and I was like, what's my name? I gotta get my name for this next round. And then I said it correctly, but I'd latched onto that because I thought that showed I wasn't a professional, and.
That bothered you.
Oh yeah, because I wanted it to be perfect. Because I should know my name, right? That's that's like basic 101, know your character's name. But then they called, and obviously negotiations, blah, 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 blah. But I got it, right?
I wonder why.
I was right, it was mine. It was meant to be mine. I couldn't mess it up. I as much as the biggest flub of not knowing the name.
So I got a question for you. When they said, so you decided to say the name and you didn't remember it. I always tell people, it's when you are blank like that, it's really, it doesn't work. It's like, what? But if someone says, and you're thinking, and I'm doing right now, I'm going, what's my name? You think I'm just having fun with this other person.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference because human beings, when you have silent times, those are the most interesting times anyway. The silence is where behavior becomes fascinating.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, you tell me a name, whatever, and you go, and I'm thinking, my name, but you're thinking, maybe she'll tell me. You see? So I don't know if it makes a difference.
It doesn't. I've noticed the lines don't really matter.
They don't matter.
They don't
Thank
matter
you very
at all.
much. But don't you think it's a gift, is my point. So
Yes.
The fascinating thing about imperfections, about dropping a line or anything, is we do this in life. I can't tell you how many times I can't remember anything. And then I'll smile and I'll go, what the hell? And Susan, my wife says, by the way, say hi. She's so shy. Anyway, so many times I have done something and I'll go, what was that? And Susan will help me. The mind only holds a certain amount of stuff and then after a while it just dissipates. But it's the reaction to it. It's the forgiveness that you have for it. It's bringing out the playful child, not the critical parent. Because the playful child, we love to watch.
Yeah.
We don't like to watch the person goes, oh shit, I fucked up,
Well, Miles Davis says this, that it's not about the mistake, it's about what you do after.
Mm.
And that's always stuck with me.
Yes.
I might have been paraphrasing, but that's the essence of it. But yeah, it's you might flub that line or forget it or whatever. And I've gotten into the habit of I'll just continue going because maybe it shakes me out of what I think the scene should be, you know.
One slice.
Slice.
But you know, the
yes.
thing I was thinking about, you say the mistake, but I think, you know, we could spend another hour on this, but I won't. But I think the word mistake is taken negative. And I think it is an opportunity
Yeah.
to play.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love mistakes. I think it's so underrated.
Yeah.
If I do a mistake, if I can't remember something or I fuck it up, more Margie comes out and more fascination comes out. And I'm not that controlled by it. And also, then I'm living in the unknown, which I love. I love living in the unknown.
Yeah.
I don't want to know everything. So what if you know, that's why I'm not big on rehearsing until you are at the process of rehearsing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
later on, or you're doing a play, you rehearse, but in the beginning, don't rehearse so much. Don't try to get it right.
Yeah.
I do.
I do.
Okay, so you book it. You book it.
I booked it.
And now you're creating characters. Anyone watched Upload? It's quite good. Okay, we have some people.
Oh, cool.
We'll have some people, more people after tonight that will watch it. And you can watch it on
Amazon
Amazon.
Prime Video.
Okay, so I'm using Upload in my new book that's coming out, God knows when, but I kind of was reading the script again and the pilot.
Yeah.
And when I was reading the pilot, I was thinking, oh, I could just see everything you were doing. I could just, it was yours. It was your,
Yeah.
you owned it. But there's some differences between you and her, to say the least. I mean, can you give them a little background about what Upload is?
Yes, it's set in what's my spiel? Set in the not too distant future.
I'm going to change it now.
I know, right? Where you can upload your consciousness to a digital heaven, similar to the cloud. My character is a customer service rep for one of the big companies that owns their own heaven, called Lakeview, and the company's Horizon. And I create your avatar. I make you feel like you, sound like you, look like you, and I build all of that and build all your memories that have been scanned and uploaded.
It's pretty cool.
And it's very AI. It's like a little too, now it's kind of
Like
scary.
what's happening now.
And
Yeah.
so
When you see people's faces now, like Harrison Ford all of a sudden got young or whatever.
Right. Yes,
Okay.
you can choose what age you want to be uploaded. So if you uploaded a certain age or like.
What age would you choose? Have you been asked that question before?
No, not that.
There you
I've
go.
asked would they upload when I upload or not.
No,
I've
I
gotten
wonder
that
what age
question.
would you
What
choose?
age would I choose?
Well, you're not that young, old, so you can't even.
I know. I feel like
figure
I'd choose now.
it out. What age would you choose, Joan? What age?
Like the age I'm at right now.
Wow.
Because
83.
Yeah.
Damn good, Joan.
because I was able to do so many things and I never give up and I keep trying and I keep learning. No matter what I do, even if I do it over again, you see it in different eyes. You know, it's like the eyes of a lens. you know.
Yeah.
So if you see your life, it can be different ways. And you just can look at it, even if you're in the same place.
Maybe you should teach Joan.
I-
Eyes of a camera lens.
I love that.
I know it is an interesting question, don't you think? I mean, some of you people are just too young to ask these questions, right? But some of are the older people that do it, you know, to wonder what age. I don't know. I have to think about that for myself.
You still have all your memories from.
Yeah.
That's
you
me.
have-
I
Yeah.
hope so.
But everything from your whole lifespan, but then you could pick.
I think it's really different when you get to that, when you're told, okay, I'm in my 80s, I'll be 80 next year. Oh my God, oh my God. I can't believe
Oh my God, I can't
Thank
believe
you.
you. You look so young,
Thank
Margie.
you, Joan. But you know, I don't choose, I don't know. And everything also depends upon, I want wisdom, so I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
be young. Because I don't think you're wise enough till you get in your 40s. Maybe
I think it's very sensitive too when you're younger, and you don't know how to take things. When you get older,
Hear that,
you
Jim?
get wiser. You know what I mean? They say the older you get wiser. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons, but it's an interesting topic, so continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a fun show. It's actually a comedy, and so it's like
But it
very
has
quirky,
some
but it's a lot
beautiful
of heart.
dramedy in it.
Yeah,
too.
it's like a
Heart.
weird soup of a show. We've got sci-fi,
Yeah.
mystery, rom-com, darkness. Like it's just it's
So what's the
everything.
similarities and differences between you and her? When you think about Because,
Yeah.
of course, using your essence of your playful child is what makes it so beautiful. So
Yeah.
what did you find about her that was similar and different?
I think similarities, Nora just has so much heart, and I think she's the heart of the show. You know, there's such a groundedness about her, and always seeing the best in people, and I think that's something I related to, and just having that positivity and heart when it comes to people and things in life. She loves her dad so much, and I was like, oh yeah, her dad, I mean, I'm not giving anything away here, you'll find out that just first episode, but her dad's dying from vape
Yes.
lung.
Very beginning.
And she's trying to get him to upload.
Right.
Because in the future they didn't know vapes were bad, so
Yeah.
now there's vape
Right.
lung. And so she's like, I want him to upload so he can live forever, and then I don't want to lose him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gosh, of course, like I relate to that. I love my dad. I don't want to
Yeah.
lose him either.
Yeah.
I think our differences are, I know when to quit, and I think she's very much like, I'm gonna stay in this thing, you know, and I'm like, girl,
Time to get out.
you gotta, you need to go. This is not great. But you know, I think that's where it differs. But she comes from so much heart, you know, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that people make a mistake of doing is that you have to find the humanity in everything you do. And you mentioned the word empathy. Everything I teach is empathy and curiosity.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole philosophy of my studio, is to have, if I have empathy about you,
Yeah.
then I'm curious of what's going on with you, then you and I can be friends.
Right.
If I have empathy and curiosity of the relationship that I'm having in the creation of the slice, the same thing. If I have empathy towards myself as the character, and I'm curious as to what makes me tick, then it really helps. Instead of being so technical about it, so driven about finding all these pieces, that kind of,
Yeah.
is a good starter.
Right. I mean, we said this already, but it's like the more I've lived and built up life experiences,
Yes.
the more I have to pour into a
Yeah,
character.
sure.
So it's like when the pandemic happened,
Mhm.
and acting was gone, and so many things were like off the table.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'd always dreamed about writing,
Mhm.
and I'm like, what? Yeah, let me try at it, you know,
Mhm.
and maybe I can dream a little bit more to direct one day and create my own projects. So I started working on that, and they made the ask on the show if I could shadow. So they said yes.
Good,
So I
yeah.
started shadowing, and then eventually, shadowed, and I directed a scene in this movie that just came out today. And so I'm like getting a chance to,
So you're pulling into the directing part.
yeah,
And what is that like for you?
I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Huh?
I love it. Just getting to I mean, and this is a part also a Prince lesson of just getting to be a band leader.
Mm-hmm.
And as actors, we're part of the band, but obviously we have a different part, but there's the director and the DP and producers and, all the different in the band.
Mm-hmm.
But as the band leader, which I would consider as the director,
Mhm.
you're getting to work with different people and craft a story that's really layered and be very collaborative. And all these different departments and department heads and all of this stuff. Whereas sometimes on the acting side, you're concerned with your character,
Right.
your part in it,
Yeah,
which is
you don't
still
realize
very pivotal.
yeah.
But you're not getting to see
All the pieces,
all the
yeah.
pieces. Yeah.
I'm working right now with an actor who has written this movie, starring in the movie, and directing the movie, and it's actually happening. It's been financed and everything. So I'm now in my third month. Every week we work together, and I try to explain to him that he wrote it, but he's missing certain things about this person that
Yeah.
he didn't even think about. Oh, you know what? So if he is, he's rather sadistic, and he's very revengeful because his
Yeah.
girlfriend was killed. So, but there is some masochism stuff in the girlfriend. So I said, well, let's put in that she cuts herself. he said, oh, I didn't think about that. You see, even if you're a writer, doesn't mean you think about the stuff. So now that I put in that she's a cutter, which it isn't written and he never thought about it, I said, well, what if your mother was a cutter? And that's why you were attracted to her. So we created this amazing connection to, because my mind is, this is where my mind is, where I'm a genius part of me. Not cooking and cleaning, but this part it is. Anything to do with imagination, because I use it so much. If you use your imagination as much as I did, you too would be a genius in this area. But because I can't stay, he says, how do you come up with that? I said, because I'm channeled through all the imagination work I've done over the thousands of years. So it makes sense to me that, but it's not intellectualizing. It comes from empathy. You know, she's, why is she a masochist? Being curious, you know.
And play.
You know, and then you end up doing it. So I think it's very difficult, because you're a writer or a director doesn't mean that you have all the answers to what is going on with this human character. You know?
Yeah.
It's very
I think it's just play. We get to play.
Yeah, and now you're a
Just so
chef,
fun.
okay? All right, now she's a chef.
Yeah.
By the way, it was delicious. Michael, Susan, and I went to, it was really fun. So what are you doing with that?
Yeah. So I think like part of me talking about like the pandemic, but then when the strike happened, then this new fun thing that I had started, which was writing and getting into directing, all of that was gone with the strike, you know. And I was like,
Okay.
dang, okay. What else can I?
Yeah.
How else can I keep expanding and growing?
And creating.
Creating, because
Mhm.
I'm a creative and we're storytellers. You know, there's so many different mediums to tell stories, and I've always had this little dream of being a chef. I've loved cooking since I was a kid. Loved baking. I would bake cakes, you know, and use
What a
that.
catch you are.
And it's I would like bake cakes and in exchange for beats to sing, you know, with producers. They'd like give me a beat and I'd be like, here's a cake, thanks. You know, like and I just had so much love for food. So when the strike happened, it came up again. Of like, well, how could I keep making my life full and for me and feeding myself, my inner child or my inner artist, whatever that is, you know, and it happened to be being a chef and being, you know, getting into culinary arts. So this is where I'm like 0 to 100. I don't do anything lightweight. So I was like, cool, signing up for culinary school.
Go, girl.
I wasn't like, you know, a little weekend class. I was like, no, let's go. And so I did like this 9-month culinary apprenticeship program. I staged at 2 Michelin restaurants, and I was like, let's go. And then in February, I did my first pop-up. Which was
It
great.
was delicious. From her food from her country, which just makes it so
Cameroonian
personal.
fine dining food.
Right, it was wonderful. And we
Yeah.
still have to do the Susan Feniger dinner,
Yeah.
something in there.
But
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I want to say that like focusing on that dream of mine that wasn't tied to acting or writing or directing, like this part of the business, it's the auditions I've gotten since then have been so much more, there's a different depth that I've experienced, and I think it's because I'm more layered,
Yes.
and I've let myself play.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, not that I don't need acting, but there's more that fills my cup.
Yes.
When I get to cook a meal, I can feed myself. So when I'm not getting that job, and you know, I auditioned for White Lotus. I auditioned every season.
Now you start using me, by the way.
But I auditioned for the last season, and I didn't get it, but I felt so good about that audition.
Mhm.
It was to play, the girlfriend,
Oh,
the British
Yeah.
British actress,
Yes.
she gets it,
Yes.
she got it.
Yes.
That's her role. That was her role.
For sure.
I did not stand
It
a
was
chance.
for-
That was
sure.
for her. But
Yeah.
again, it's like
Yes.
every time it's
Yeah.
either like, whew, I'm glad I didn't get that, or like, wow, yeah, that was theirs.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't for me.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
something for me
Yeah.
that someone else would be like, yeah, that was hers.
Yeah.
You know, but
So don't you think that being mature and going further in your life and all these experiences helped you, okay? That's why I said to be older is a better, why I think being older, because you're too sensitive when you're young, and you take it, and I miss I'm never gonna get another part, I'm never gonna do this, I'm never gonna do that, and you're too hard on yourself. And I think as you get older, you realize that I like myself. You work on that, work on liking yourself,
Yeah.
rather than other people liking you.
Joan's be doing a class here, by the way. She lives in Florida, but she's moving to do a class on age. Meaning when you decide you want to age wise with her.
Yeah, and liking yourself.
I'll just take you
I love
around the
that.
world
Liking yourself. All right, let me open this up to everybody, because I want to
Okay.
get some questions for
Yeah.
answers, but I
Yeah.
love what we've done so far. I think you've gotten a lot out of it. I have, okay?
Before we jump into that, I just want to touch on what you just said
Okay.
about that. I suffer from imposter syndrome. And
Just everybody.
And as much as I've achieved, and I think because I'm scared of being an imposter, it's pushed me to do a lot of things. And I guess I want to be real in that even though I got the series regular and I got, the whatevers and the thing, da-da-da-da-da, like, there's still that part of me that has doubt.
Yes.
There's still that part of me that's like, is that enough? Will I get this one? Will I, upload's done. Will I
Yeah.
get the next job?
Yeah,
That was nice, though. Was that a fluke?
yeah, that was a fluke. Yeah.
But I think, and that's the
But that's
work.
everybody. I think that's not right.
Yeah, so I just
I don't
wanted to
think
be
that's
real in that
yeah,
moment
for
where
sure.
it's not like it all goes away once you start
Yeah.
getting all the cool shit. It's
Yeah.
like I'm still human, and I get to, at the end of the day, no matter what role you book, wherever you are in your life, we've got to be nice to ourselves.
Mhm.
And I think that's
Don't be
making me
hard on
emotional.
yourself.
It's okay.
But it's so important.
No. I agree.
It's so important.
Yeah.
So if I could impart that to you,
Yeah.
of like having such gentleness and kindness, because this is a hard industry, and it can be really challenging, and it can make you question yourself.
Mhm.
But if at the end of the day you get to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you did good,
Yeah.
that's just so beautiful, and that's where it comes from. So
Yeah. I
just
totally
wanted
agree
to
with you.
share
And,
that.
the thing that I want to say in the open for questions is this. In my book, Fuck Your Comfort Zone, the thing that is wonderful about what I think is, it's a concept of, I'm going to look in the mirror today and say, you're my Valentine. I am my own Valentine.
Yeah.
I don't need someone else to make me a Valentine. I am my own Valentine. It takes time, and and also, by the way, growing goes like this, da-da-da-da,
Yes.
da-da-da,
Yeah.
da-da-da, you're just never going to go straight up.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to, it's okay to achieve that and do it. I can say to you, in my life, the only thing I've ever believed in 120% is my teaching.
Yeah.
I fully believe in myself. When I walk into a room, I have no doubt, zero doubt. Now that's only because I've been doing it 123 years, and because I have seen my growth, and I've seen my
Confidence in
challenges.
yourself, too.
And I think that so that
Confidence
happens.
is important.
Okay, let's open it up. Who wants to speak? Ask a question. And yes, tell her your name, God knows.
Oh, hi Angel. My name is
Angel, hi, Angel.
Dars.
That's what she's
That's
called.
an upload thing. Yeah.
You guys will get it.
They will.
They will. During those long periods that you still need to keep this instrument practicing and excluding class, did you have any daily habits that you do every day to just keep you just ready? Because you don't know what's around the corner in the industry, and it's like, I'm ready to do a self-tape. I can, I've got these daily things that I do, or anything that you might have done during that time. And also, I guess, how would you deal with that imposter syndrome during those long gaps between auditions and jobs? I think it's incredible what you're saying, the fact that you explore your curiosity, and how do you know if that's the place to go? For you, it was cooking. If you had 5 different avenues, how do you know which one to fully go? I'm going to go for this and open up a stall. And
My short answer: do all of them.
Test it out.
Test it out. Play. my friend says, what side quest are you on? Because I've just like had so many, like I've been like, I'm gonna climb mountains. So I decided to go climb Kilimanjaro.
Why not?
I did it. I was like, and then I was like, yeah, now I'm gonna climb all 7 peaks, highest peaks in the world. Again, this is me. Like I go to like the nth degree. And then I have to reel myself back in and say,
Go back, right?
we're okay. We don't have to climb Everest. We like living.
No.
I don't need to be frozen.
There's also ways of climbing Mount Everest without climbing the mountain itself.
Yeah.
It's the metaphoric experience.
Yeah. But it's like, I wanted to learn how to climb a mountain, so I went and I did that. And I love dancing, so it's like, I've gone and, taught classes or learned how to dance. But it's not always art. It doesn't have to be artistic. Like I love making puzzles, so it's like I'm gonna make a puzzle or order one and put it together. So sometimes it's fun just to make. Like I made like this. I don't want to call it like a master list, but it's like a fun list for myself. And sometimes I'll just go through and be like, what's feasible for me? That's really fun, and that I've had fun doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be now, it can be stuff I did as a kid. I just bought like a mini trampoline. I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast. I'm on that thing every morning. And it keeps me in my body. And I'm jumping. I put my favorite songs on.
We're gonna put that in the studio.
And I'm like,
Put
it's
that on the list
so
so we can do that
fun.
in the dance.
But it's like, as a kid, I loved playing on the trampoline. I'm like, oh. And before I got the trampoline, I found there was a trampoline park that I would just go to on a whim and be like, me and like 5-year-olds jumping around and be like, I don't care, Like,
So what do you do in this first part of this question? What do you do to keep yourself?
Yeah. So I think the overarching #1 thing is keep living, like whatever brings you to life, because when you get that role, now you have something to pull from.
I agree.
I kept myself alive. And it can be the wackiest hobby or whatever. It doesn't have to be tied to this work, because again, you're a professional human. All you get to do is live. That's all we get to do.
Yeah.
So live,
Yeah.
whatever that is. Now you can, and stay curious. But you can always go into the technicalities of things, right? Of like, okay, on that downtime, you can, now there's so many resources. You can ask ChatGPT a fun monologue that here's my, these are the roles I really want to go for. Give me a list of shows. Watch the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know the tone, because each show is different. Each network is different. CBS likes things a certain way that NBC doesn't. If you want to get into that, we get to watch stuff as our job.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So getting to know like, what are those? In the first beginning of this, I talked about like having a vision for yourself. What's that vision? What are the shows and roles that you see yourself doing, and you're like, let me see what that actor did. I like that. I like this show. When you get your team, you can now delegate. They work for you. You get to say, hey, I really like, I'm going for these kinds of roles and these kinds of shows. Can you look out for those? Now you're in collaboration. And so, there's a list of homework, or fun things you could do. Or even what I did last year of doing Shakespeare monologues in my Canadian accent. You could have fun just picking monologues that you're like, oh yeah, this is cool. Let me play with it. I'll film myself, see what I look on camera, or ask a friend, hey, do you want to run this slice of life
The community.
once a week?
Yeah. Community.
Let's all get together and just makeshift whatever stuff and play. Just play.
I think that when you mention, just in addition to that, the community,
Yeah.
like at this Margie Haber studio has a community. You guys, all in the back row from all over the world now know each other. So if you say to each other, you're from Australia and you're from Italy, and you go and you're FaceTime, hey, you want to do a Zoom with me? I want to do you want to work on this particular thing. Let's play together. I have people that get together. They come up with shorts. I mean, By the way, one of our best teachers in the world, Jim, is right there. Say hi to Jim. Jim is always putting together things with groups, and it's about creating. But here's what I want to say to you: discipline.
Yeah.
Every day, you spend 15 minutes a day stepping into a life. That's all. And I'm going to live this life for 15 minutes. I'm going to answer the phone like that. I'm going to, thinking when I'm washing the dishes, I'm thinking about this person. Anything you want. You could take something you're watching on a TV show and watch it and then step out of and then all of a sudden step in it and live in those thoughts and those behaviors and watch people through the eyes of this character every day. You guys are waiting to book. You're waiting to shoot. You're waiting to do something when every single day you can create. Okay, next question.
Wait, it's too, like, I love going to, like, cafes, and
Yes,
I'll
and
sit
watch.
and I'll watch
Yeah,
people.
cafes, watching people. Fascinating. And telling stories about it. I bet you those two are.
Oh, yeah,
yours.
I'll come, yeah, like
Right?
a whole
Yeah,
different thing.
you create the stories about people. All right.
Last thing I want to say about this, sorry.
Okay.
That was such a great
Go ahead,
question.
15 minutes, we're in and out. Boom, boom, boom. Go ahead.
So, I don't know how you feel about RADA, but I went there for an intensive.
Uh-huh.
It was a summer intensive,
Mhm.
and one of the things that the teachers talked about was like running. And I'm not gonna say all the language right for
It's
you,
okay.
but it's like running the lines or whatever it is while you're doing an activity. You just talked about washing dishes, but like I would go on walks or I would go for a jog or something, and I would just practice
Mhm.
getting my mouth moving
Mhm, mhm,
fast and not thinking about the line.
Mhm.
So if there was a monologue or something that I would get stuck on that one word where I forgot,
Mhm.
I would practice like saying it while I'm doing an activity, but forward, like a forward
Yes.
motion,
Yeah.
and mimicking my line that way. So when I'm sending it,
Mhm.
there's such intention and there's such like I'm sending it to you, but also using my body in it because I'm walking forward or I'm running. There's something there.
I love using your body and answering questions.
Yeah.
I do not like someone sitting down, I'm glad to see you, I'm glad to see you, I'm
Yeah.
glad to see you.
Yeah.
Are you here yet? Are you here yet? Here. I'm much more into, well, I teach phrasing, so I'm teaching phrasing. Phrasing, you learn to read a phrase, you learn to memorize some phrases. But while you're involved in something and you're actively involved with washing dishes or something like that, and you're doing the thing and you make it natural, but then you throw away.
Yeah.
Then you throw it away because once you've gotten to that place, you don't want to try to repeat it. All right,
If
next
I
question.
get
15 minutes, 13
If I get
minutes.
stuck in a thingy, because I sing, I'll sing my lines.
I'm big on that. Yes, big believer in singing.
Or if there's a favorite song,
Yes.
I'll sing my lines like the favorite song,
Yes.
just
I
to
got
shake
your
me,
number. And
shake
then you
me
do
out
like,
of
shake it up.
the thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
And no, singing, it's just a great way to do it. All right, who wants to ask a question? Go ahead. Oh, yes, from the ISP. Just finished today, the 2 weeks, yes.
My name is Brittany. A lot of what we talked about over the course of the 2 weeks has been like bookable confidence, and I'm wondering if that's something that you naturally had already being a singer and performer, or if that's something that you had to work up to, and how did you do it?
Good question, Brittany, good question.
I think I was always kind of good in the room because I'm a people person, so I like chatting and, smile. You'd be generally like, hi, I'm here, even if my heart's like, but I think it's, I feel like times even what, first, what was your name, sorry?
Dart.
Dart?
Yeah, John's good enough.
Dart. That's cool. Brittany. I think there's that doubt or imposter syndrome, but I think when I know that I've prepared as much as I can,
Mhm.
and to the best of my ability, trusting that, and now letting it go, in the sense of I've done my work. Now I get to just play, and the rest doesn't matter. They might not like me because whatever. The lead character is 6'5" and I'm too short. I can't change that. Whatever, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I walk in telling myself, I've done the best I can. I've prepared, I know, all I don't know if you do this, I have so many schools of thought in my head, all the W's, and like really living that slice of life. And the other thing too is, what's helped me is owning whatever the feeling is. So if I'm nervous, I'm nervous. I'm not gonna try to not be nervous. And
What's wrong with nerves anyway? I think that's
it's
a
the same
negative
coin.
statement.
So nerves is on one side and excitement is on the
Yeah,
other.
exactly.
So it's just I get to be okay. I'm nervous because I'm excited, and because this means something to me, and it does. It's meaningful. I want it.
Yeah,
I want
and I think,
it. It's okay.
the thing with nerves, just to quickly tell you, that in my book I talk about, in Fuck Your Comfort Zone, I talk about how being in your comfort zone is not a good usage of your nerves. Like staying here, I'm nervous. But using your nerves, and using fear is not a bad thing. It can literally pull you forward, or it can close you off. And so the fear, the nerves, the point of excitement, that comes forward. Next person.
Sorry. And
I'm trying. Go ahead.
They want to secure the role as much as you want it. Casting's on your side. They're doing their job too of wanting to book that role. And they're hoping it's you. And you get to share your version of the character.
Right.
And that's beautiful. And it might be what they have in mind, it might not. But you get to share that. And I think I just have what's helped me, I guess a tangible action point is like mantras that I can repeat to myself, like
Repeat.
they want you. I'm sharing my version today. I get to act today. This is fun. And I'm the shit. Whatever it can be, whatever mantra that helps you lock in.
Find your mantras.
And it's less about making them like you or think whatever, but you being like, I'm here for a reason. You've been given the opportunity to audition for a reason, and that's amazing.
When you think of mantras, one of the things I talked about in class today was, remember, they're scared because they are afraid they're going to lose their jobs.
Right.
The casting director, so you're there to also to help them. You're there to help them because they need you even more than you need them. Next question. Oh, you didn't stop me.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. We'll go one, then we'll go two. That's fine. Good.
Hi.
Hey.
My name is Yasmin. I just want to know what you do to make auditioning more fun and less pressure.
In what way? What do you mean?
Just
the pressure of
not have it feel so high stakes, because it feels like it takes you out of character, or it just kind of ruins the experience and takes the fun out of this life of trying to do a really good job at it. And I'm like, oh, I remember when this used to be fun. And so I guess, do you have any tips for making it fun, or just kind of going in and playing instead of having...
Are you at the studio?
Yeah, I've taken
What
Diane's
class are you in?
class.
Well,
Yeah.
there's. I just have to say one thing, and then you can say it. Okay. This is what I want you to focus on. There's no such thing as an audition. Auditioning is testing. It's a horrible word. And when you think, oh, I gotta go and audition, you're thinking, oh shit, they're gonna like me? Oh God, I need this job. If I get this stuff, they'll love me. And all your thing is about booking and testing and booking.
Perfect.
See, I know, I can't wait to take my class. Because when we're in my class, and we do that weekend intensive, the thing is I stop you from thinking about auditioning. I would like you to stop thinking about auditioning and just go in to live a life. That's all you're doing. And when you are more concerned about taking a dance with another and not about, do I do this right? You're not going to book it anyway. So why put yourself through the stress? That's how I believe it. I know that's horrible to say, but I just don't care about booking. So if you care about booking, or you care about doing it good, I want to be really good at this, then all your whole life is about stress. But if I'm doing this for me, because I want to live in this life, and it's not an audition, I have an opportunity to live this life. I got the opportunity to live a prostitute, a rich person. I get to live, you know, a sex maniac. Why? It's come up twice now. Whatever, right? Those things, that's all that you care about. As soon as you care about a result, then you're screwed. Stop auditioning. Stop auditioning. Just live a life. Boom. I could do mine for 4 hours too.
I love it. It's practice. I get to practice being an actor and practice my craft today. And something I started doing is, because I can be more analytical, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but afterwards, like really reflecting in a non-judgmental, harsh way, what worked? Where could I?
But that's good,
What
because
could
that's
I,
your
like-
adult time, and that's a good time to be.
And it gets me out of my head
You have
of
to
like,
be
oh,
adult.
did I, you know, it's like, oh, what did I like? What did I do well? That was, ooh, that was a nice moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where was I in my
That's good.
head? And it got me to more look at my craft
Mm-hmm.
from a, let me get better. And something that Prince would do that I took from him was, after each concert we would watch it back and we would see where we could improve. And I do that with my work. I watch not to be like, oh, cringe, like, it's like, okay, oh, that was nice. I like objectively, like I'm almost looking at another performer.
Just tell me you study with Margie
And-
Haber, I swear to God.
So it's practice.
Yeah.
I get to practice my craft today, and I love that, of like, I'm just living this life.
That's it.
Listen, booking is nice. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie,
It's
but you don't
like,
get to
booking
do it
is
all the
nice.
time.
You don't.
So what are you gonna wait for that
But-
one time to have a happy life?
Right. That's what I'm saying. We get to practice. Like
Yeah.
we get to act that day.
Yeah.
That's our chance to act in a setting that's safe and fun. I think allowing myself to be silly in tapes, especially when they're self tapes, because no one's gonna see it. I'm not gonna pick that, or maybe I'll get surprised by that take. You know. Just okay. I've gotten a couple with where I'm in whatever I had in mind, and now, okay, I'm just gonna like have fun and be silly. What does that mean? Whatever. I could just do it in another accent. I could, even if it's not right. Who cares, right? Like, whatever that is for you that makes it fun again. Finding that and giving yourself the freedom to do it. One thing I want to say too. Whenever I have like emotional scenes, always in my head, because I'm like, I have to perform, like they said, and she breaks down crying profusely, and you're like, in this moment right now, I don't feel it, you know? And there's some actors that are so brilliant at that, you know, and that's such a gift. And in this last season, there's a lot of emotional scenes, and I was getting nervous. And I've got the job, but now I'm on set, and I have to perform. I've got the thing. And I phoned a friend because I was so in my head, and she was also an actor, and she reminded me of what you're saying. It's not about the result of me crying. I'm feeling something. I'm here with the other person. So let me just be here. Also trust the work I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And then just, I guess also like just being easy on myself. And it's okay. Wherever I'm at is what I'm feeling. Maybe today the character didn't feel like crying. And guess what? That's what you're gonna get, you know? And give me a tear stick if you really want those tears. But, you know, like, cheat sheets, right? On set, there's things that can happen if the director really wants a result. But honoring ourselves as artists, when it's less about what they want and what they think, and I'm really saying, I'm here to have fun, and I'm showing you, like I said to Brittany, my version. This is my version of where I am today and where this character is today, where my instrument is. And I'm not going to force anything else. I think that's being truthful.
You know, what it's interesting because when she said, I don't know if you agree with this, well, of course, this is exactly what I talked about in class today, is there's different parts of you. When you finish something, you're an adult now, and you watch it, and you go, this is where I was really open, this is where then you can see, and then the critical parent, you move away. The 5 ego states, right, in the chapter 5 of the book, is the playful child, the fearful child, the critical parent, the nurturing parent, the adult. You always want your nurturing parent to be there. You always want to nurture. But you also have to have the adult that's going to give you the answers to some of the things you want. Like at that moment, I wasn't listening. Oh, there, that was in that moment. Oh, I like the way I was connected. You have to be an adult when you're doing it. And the other thing, to make closure, is think of this as not work. I know that's a word that you use, and I'm just going to shift it a little bit. Because work is somewhat often negative. It's like, I have to go to work. I have to work on this. Think of it as an opportunity to create, and that's it. So I have to do an audition. Oh, shit, I gotta go home. I got 3 tapes. I hear this all the time. I got 3 self-tapes to make. Everything is stressful. But I get to go, I get to live a life for an hour. That makes me so happy. And the other thing about crying, emotion. This is the issue, if you called me, I would have given you this. You are human, and you may not cry at that moment. But at that moment, it may be so overwhelming that we may not want you to cry. We may see something completely different than the director thinks he wants. Because you want to be so in control and do what the director wants you to do. But guess what? Something happens there and you feel bad about yourself. And it's not happening. And then all of a sudden you're very vulnerable. That might be a more fascinating moment than all those emotions coming out, and maybe 3 seconds later you're crying. So you just can't control it, because human beings can't control emotions. You do not ever go into an audition or shooting saying, please let me cry in this line.
On cue, yeah.
You say to yourself, I'm going to live this life, and what will happen will happen.
Yeah.
And more than not, it will happen.
Right.
All right, your last question.
Those of us that never left home, who go to work, come home and watch TV, the lives that we live when we act, the regular ass people. Well, I've never lived a life like that, and I've often wondered, what's it about? And I wonder if that's something like you talked about cooking, chef, and about research, listening to cafes. I've often had this deep curiosity about what is the regular stuff of their daily life, as if I'm missing something as an actor because I've never had the burdens of this regular shit. Does this sound familiar at all to you? I mean, can you relate it? And if so, you have other strategies or other ways through that? I mean, anything to say about this question?
Is there a question there? What's the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, how do you deal with not being normal?
How do you
The impression that you're like a native of the stage, in a sense. And maybe I'm wrong about that.
How do you deal with not being, what is normal?
Well, I'd say anybody who doesn't think of it as their duty to leave their own lives and take on others, or like the artist type.
Oh, live a life that's not in the...
Yeah.
Like a more traditional kind of 9 to 5.
Yeah, not being an artist. I'm having a hard time putting words to it.
Because of when we'll get an audition or a slice of life that's that, and how to relate to it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, most roles aren't like characters who are actors, right? Like if you're a pharmacist, what is that? Not just work of pharmacy, but...
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is when I've talked to people, and I'm just in conversation with others, most people don't feel like that's what they're doing. So like a pharmacist or a banker, and I have this, a friend of mine went out to dinner, and he brought a friend, and she's a banker, and we were talking, and she was like, I've always thought about
I don't know, taking a painting. I used to draw when I was a kid. But she was like, you know, my parents were like, you gotta find a job that's like more responsible or whatever. And I thought that was so fascinating because most people aren't like, I can't wait to like, you know, write prescriptions. I don't know, you know. There's more. There's more to
Are you talking about doing a profession of some sort?
Like if I were to play someone in an office building,
Yes, yes, go ahead.
I've never woken up to an alarm and schlepped to.
And slept there. Okay, so how do you live that life? Is that what you're asking? If that's not you?
I've felt this deep curiosity, like this domesticated, social, like what seems to be most people.
But okay,
Maybe I'm
so
wrong
you know
about
what
that.
you know what would be so fun though is getting to play like experiment that.
Mhm.
Set your alarm. Put a suit out before
what do you
bed
do?
and like live it. Pick whatever building you're gonna go to and be like, I've got my suit,
That's it.
I have my alarm. Do that for a week.
Yes.
You'll probably feel like,
You're
but you know, and but it's
doing, that's what I'm talking about.
you know, or apply for a job
Mhm.
at Starbucks or whatever.
Yes.
And wherever you're like, I'm curious, have the curiosity. It's not that, I don't know if that's tracking or if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, kind of.
This is our question. Where, are you in the studio? Are you here?
Yeah, I'm in the intermediate class.
What?
The intermediate class.
Who are you with?
Imam?
Well, you know, well, I just like curious to know because I don't know half the people, 90% of people that come here. There is a piece, so ironic that you'd say that. We did not discuss this. We don't know anything what each other are going to say. But my whole thing of who I am is I teach do the do's. Do the do's. This is what I teach. Don't rehearse with somebody. Go do it. Go put the jacket, put the suit on, go over to an office, and go do, that's exactly what I teach. So it's ironic that we don't talk about it, but yet we come from the same approach, which is if you're curious, then do it. You know, jump into it. I mean, if I'm never been a limo driver, I'm gonna maybe I'll apply to be an Uber, and for a week or so, I'll do Uber driving and get the experience of what it's like. There's nothing better than jumping into the world that the person's living and let that become curious for you, because that's what it's all about.
Because even as kids, that's what we would do. Or as a kid, I would play, you know, dress up, or I'd come up with elaborate stories, you know. It was just play. Like, we get to play. Like, that's our job, you know? It's like, we just get to play.
Yeah.
But it's like, I keep coming back to this, like, being a professional human. And what you're saying of like, okay, if I'm curious about something or a life, to an extent, right? Obviously, if I get a role for a prostitute, I'm not gonna be like, well, let's
I don't know about
hop on this
that.
path, you know, within reason.
Downstairs, yeah.
Safe, obviously, safely, for fun.
I do it.
Light.
Okay, I wouldn't do it.
But like fun, like keeping that childlike play alive, like,
Yes.
and you've said in your question, you mentioned a few times of like, I'm really curious what that's like.
It's what's it. It's
And
great.
that's so great to have the curiosity,
That's what it's all
and
about.
then and take it a step further of like, yeah, what would it be like? Play dress up, and
Yeah.
and maybe you have friends that do work a 9 to 5. I don't know, or family members or something. You're like, hey, can I shadow you? Can I
Yeah.
shadow you in your job and hang out with you at your office for a day? Maybe I can ask you a few questions and like, so what do you do for fun? Like, what's this?
Yeah.
You know, and
Step in.
it's like research. Like we get to research humans, you know, and like, and really be like, ooh, what is this human like, you know, and really.
But that is
And
that
it's
is
fun.
that is the do's, and I'll make this a short version of our story. I had someone who was doing a movie. She came home in this particular movie where she came home and her husband wasn't there. She couldn't find her husband, and she looked all over the place. And all of a sudden, she realized that all of the things that are about him are gone, and there was no pictures of him. And she thought she was going crazy. She finds a book, and in that book, she sees that he wrote. He was a writer. The preface of this woman named Eve, who wrote the book. And she goes searching and looking for it. This is the actual movie, right? She searches for it and she finds this woman, Eve, and they have this real connection. They can't believe it. And she finds out later that Eve is her husband as a trans. Got that now? Got that? Okay. Now I decide to use this in class and tell everybody, okay, I want you to, all you guys, I want you to be Eve. And the following week, not one of these talented people came in wearing a dress. But Eve wears a dress. Why aren't you wearing a dress? Well, no, I don't know. No, you want to live this life, So I said, okay, now I want everybody to live this life for the week and blah, blah, blah. So I had this guy, who was an Asian guy, go with his wife to an Asian store, put on an Asian long dress, and never take it off for the entire week. See the dues? The dues? So he's walking around wearing the dress in the beginning, feeling so uncomfortable, saying, oh my God, this is so not me. Well, yeah, what was he feeling? Shame. People were looking at him. He'd go to the pharmacy wearing this dress. People were looking at him. Go out to dinner with his wife wearing the dress. He told me he couldn't take the dress off the entire week, right? Wearing this dress and feeling so uncomfortable until finally started to change for him. He started understanding the shame was real for him. It wasn't made up, and started to now say, what would it be like to want to live in this new body, to be curious about living a different body, to want to shave the legs even though you'd never see it, to want to wear a wig, not because it's a costume, but because she wanted, she now is becoming, she wants to put on makeup. And then when the following week happened, I seriously did not know who that person was. Sitting in the corner over there, I go, I did not know it was Michael. I said, oh my God, fully committed to it. I wish that for you guys. I wish that you would go fully into the commitment of the dues and absolutely embrace that, because that's what makes it fun. All right, we're going to make this a closure. We'll do it another time, but it's time for dinner, okay? Thank you so much.